Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney and Ketia and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney, Nketiah and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney, Nketiah and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney, Nketiah and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. Join us for coverage of tonight's unusual 6 o'clock kickoff Europa League fixture. It's a rescheduled game between Arsenal and PSV. The Gunners play host to PSV Eindhoven, and they've decided that they need to make 6 changes in a much rotated squad from their 1-0 narrow victory over Leeds United at Ellen Road at the weekend. It's Turner, Holding, Lokonga, Tierney, Nketiah and Vieira who come into the squad, with Ramsdale, Saliba, Partey, Lokonga, Martinelli and Ødegaard all making way. As for PSV Eindhoven, they've decided that after a 6-1 win over Utrecht at the weekend, they are unchanged. They feel their squad is good enough to take on the Gunners as they tussle for that top spot. Both sides will be fighting to try and go through automatically into the next round and top Group A, but only the time will tell who will win this game. I will just leave that there as this game has just got underway. Thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary of Arsenal versus PSV Eindhoven. It's a tie between two sides who are flying high in their domestic leagues. They've both had an impressive start to the Europa League as well, and it's certainly going to be one that's going to entertain us. My name's Joshua Hall. I'm joined by Harry Jones, and it's going to be a game that both sides really feel they need to win.
Yeah, it's a must-win, isn't it? Top of the table clash in their Europa League group, so definitely a big one. But we've seen a couple of changes for Mikel Arteta's side, no changes for PSV. So definitely both sides wanted to get out on top to have the bragging rights going into the second leg that will be played later on in the season. As this is obviously a replay, isn't it, from the not a replay, sorry, it's a rescheduled fixture from the passing of Her Majesty. So a little bit delayed, but we are underway now, and it'll be a really exciting game, I think.
Yeah, it certainly will be an exciting game. As you mentioned, there's been a lot of rotation from an Arsenal point of view. 6 changes Mikel Arteta's made to his side, but he likes to change things up for the Europa League. He likes to think that he's got enough depth to be able to win the games, but he didn't feel he'd be able to win this one without his star man, Gabriel Jesus. He does start, hasn't started a Europa League game yet, but he starts in this one, unchanged from a PSV point of view. Ruud van Nistelrooy particularly happy happy with the way his side won 6-1 against Utrecht at the weekend. But we're 2 minutes into this game. Arsenal looking the slightly better of the sides so far. They're putting a bit more pressure on PSV than vice versa. Arsenal at home in this game in a red shirts, white shorts and the red socks, and then an all blue away kit of PSV. Arsenal shooting from left to right in this first half. It will be a PSV throw in deep inside their own half just to try and get out. We'll run you through the lineups whilst they get an opportunity. So that Arsenal lineup is Matt Turner in net, a back four of Tierney, Gabriel, Holding and Tomiyasu. Midfield three of Fabio Vieira, Granit Xhaka and Albert Sambi Lokonga. And then a front three of Gabriel Jesus, Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka. We'll yet to see exactly how that Nketiah and Jesus link up will work, or whether it might even be a 4-4-2. I'll just break off before I tell you the PSV lineup, as Gabriel Jesus is just hovering around the edge of the box. Lays it off to Nketiah. Back now to Kieran Tierney. He goes all the way back to Rob Holding and cross to Tomiyasu for Arsenal to start again from the back. That PSV lineup is Benitez in net, Mwene, Romalo, Obispo and Max as a back four. A three in midfield of Sangare, Veerman and Gutierrez, and a front three of Xavi Simons, Guus Thiel and the infamidable Cody Gakpo. He's been a sensational talent who's had so many eyes on him from all over the top 5 European leagues, and they certainly will be looking at him this evening. I'm sure there's been linked to Arsenal himself, but it's Arsenal on the ball at the moment now towards the corner flag. Kieran Tierney blocked off by Mwene. Nothing doing, says the referee, and the ball's cleared away from goal by PSV, but only as far as Rob Holding. He opts to go back to his American goalkeeper, Matt Turner. Now out to Tomiyasu on the right-hand side. We'll just start again, Arsenal. At the moment, it's all them. PSV seemingly happy to just sit behind. They certainly do have enough attacking talent to catch this Arsenal team if they need to. Guus Thiel, Xavi Simons and Cody Gakpo, those two are really the ones, Simons and Gakpo, that could cause problems, but it's Arsenal causing problems here. And Nketiah bursting through the midfield, plays it wide to Kieran Tierney. He tries to find one in the middle, but it's cleared away. Granit Xhaka on the ball now for Arsenal. Rob Holding. Tomiyasu on the right-hand side, faces up against Cody Gakpo. Gives the ball to Saka. Just a bit of interplay on triangles on the near side as our pictures see it. Arsenal's right-hand side. Lokonga decides to spread it more centrally. Gives it to Granit Xhaka. He breaks the lines with an infield pass towards Nketiah. Now wide left to Kieran Tierney. Back to Eddie Nketiah. He's making his mark on the Europa League so far this season, and he gets fly here, but it's just a bit of a poor effort from distance, and it goes well wide. But first smell of blood from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think the initial attempt there was a ball in behind, but he realised once he'd, I think it was the pace that he was running at the ball there. When he catches it, he just overcooks it, goes flying over everybody, will go out for a pretty easy goal kick. But Arsenal definitely on top in the opening 5 or so minutes. I was meant to mention the PSV fans as we see them now, actually, as they're bouncing in the away end at the Emirates, so they're definitely up for it, and you can see why. I mean, a result here would leave them top of the group, and it will be a really comfortable situation to go into the remaining 3 fixtures of the Europa League group. Being top, they'll be in the driver's seat, so they're definitely going to be up for it. Like we said, unchanged, so not wanting to rest anyone, and they're definitely going to go all guns blazing to try and beat the Gunners. Yeah, driver's seat, certainly the way to put it. Neither team will be safely finishing top of the group if they win today, but it will certainly put them in that driver's seat. Arsenal sit at top of the group, 3 wins from 3 at the moment, so 9 points, and PSV just behind them in second place on 7 points. They've won 2 games and drawn the 1, and I feel that whoever really wins this game probably will go on to win the group. It's such an important thing now with the new layout of the Europa League. You don't want to have to play those extra games just to try and put yourself through to the next round. Kieran Tierney now on the ball for Arsenal, spreads it wide left to Nketiah. Just look at the moment like he's going to be the one playing and hugging that left touchline, whilst Gabriel Jesus is going to play a more central role, but they're definitely interchangeable players. We've seen Gabriel Jesus play on the wing plenty under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Left-hand side now it is Nketiah once again, does really well to shake off one, tries to shake off another, and just can't keep hold of the ball, and it goes out for a goal kick. Ruud van Nistelrooy making a return to the Arsenal ground. He's obviously a bit of a prickly figure when it comes to the history with Arsenal. Not so much with Mikel Arteta himself, but he even said in his press conference that he was hoping he'd have a warm reception from the Emirates crowd, as he feels that he allowed them to stay invincible by missing that penalty. I'm not quite sure Arsenal fans will see it the same way, but a
bit of light-hearted banter between the two managers before the game. At the moment, it's still scoreless here. Coming up on 7 minutes played, it's Arsenal 0, PSV 0. Ball back with Matt Turner inside his own box. Putting a really impressive display last time out. Matt Turner against Bodo Glimt. It was a pretty bleak game. If anybody did watch along or listen along on this service, it was two sides that really just seemed like they were happy to sort of get out there without any injuries. Bodo Glimt didn't feel as if there was anything they could have got from the game, and then a 1-0 win after a lucky Bukayo Saka goal. But Matt Turner, the shining light in that. Just seeing 81% of possession so far has gone to Arsenal, and just as I say that, the ball's now at the feet of PSV. They're finally going to try and start something themselves. Walter Benitez in his goal, just knocking it out to Obispo to try and start something from the back. But that press that we've seen from Arsenal, they've been so high flying this season, Arsenal in the Premier League. They've taken everyone by surprise. They've really performed well in every game, bar the game at the weekend where they narrowly scraped a 1-0 win at Ellen Road against Leeds United. If the Arsenal that have played well in the Premier League show up today, you'd expect them to win. Yeah, you would, but obviously, like you mentioned, I don't think it's the greatest fixture to come into when you need a win off the back of that game against Leeds. Very cagey, and well, on the most part, it's very lucky to come out with all 3 points there. And Patrick Bamford missing the penalty, and the Arsenal goal came from more of a unforced error there from Leeds, from a Rodrigo mishap. So I think they were very lucky to come out of the game with a result against Leeds. So probably not too high on confidence. They would have preferred to have been a little bit more convincing coming into such a heavy tie like they've got this evening. But nonetheless, I think the team's got that sort of mentality about it now, isn't it, that they can go out and beat anyone. So I don't think it'll be sitting on the players' heads for too long, that result against Leeds at the weekend. I think they'll be always looking forward ahead at the next fixture. So I think they'll be looking at this one with a lot of confidence. They know in their own ability that they can take it to this PSV side who are flying themselves. No slouch in the Eredivisie, PSV. So I think it's definitely a fixture that, despite Arsenal not looking too convincing last week, they're definitely still going to be in that mindset that they will come here and dispatch of this PSV side. Yes, certainly no slouches in the Eredivisie. They currently sit second place, just 1 point behind the infamous Ajax, who sit atop of the league table there, but it's their goal-scoring record that's the most impressive in the league. They boast the top goal scorer and the second top goal scorer in Cody Gakpo in number 1 and Xavi Simons in number 2. Cody Gakpo has 9 goals and 7 assists in the league so far this season. Simons with 8 goals and 3 assists. So there's certainly an attacking threat from them. As the attacking threat of Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka just miscontrols the ball, and it goes out for a PSV throw-in about halfway into their own half. As we tick towards the 10-minute mark in this game, it still remains 0-0. It's the only Europa League game going ahead this evening. As you mentioned earlier, Harry, it's a rescheduled game due to the monarchy. I was just going to mention that in possession, Arsenal setting up quite different. Xhaka definitely pushing a lot further forward, Tierney drifting inside and sitting alongside Sambi Lokonga. So definitely an interesting tactic that they're employing, Arsenal, but it's working for the most part. Yeah, something they've started doing a lot this season. Granit Xhaka returning a lot more numbers than you'd expect for him to see this season. He's had a fair few goals and assists already, pushing in that higher up role. It's Sambi Lokonga who'll drop in and play that Thomas Partey role this evening. You'd imagine he'll try and knit things together between that back four, and they do like that sort of elbow fullback this season. Arsenal normally Ben White when he plays at right back, but this evening it looks like it's going to be Kieran Tierney on that left side. Bukayo Saka just flies across the face of goal. It's fallen back to Tierney on the left side, and he lets fly, and it's gone high wide and not very handsome. Xavi Simons was sliding in front, and that may have put him off, but it's a poor effort from the left back. Yeah, it is a poor effort. It was a really nice work move there. I think Saka baited in Philip Max to come and pressurise him. One quick turn away, and well, his electric speed, he's always going to beat the man there, isn't he? Bukayo Saka gets the ball in the box. It sits up really nicely for Nketiah, who seemingly miskicks it, but it's a happy accident. Falls straight to Kieran Tierney. It's a difficult one on the volley, but you've got to expect him to at least try and direct it goalwards. It was way too far away. Yeah, Jesus just picks the ball out of the air inside the area, just lays it back to Granit Xhaka. Could he add to his numbers? It may have taken a deflection. It may have just been a poor effort. Either way, the ball's gone out of play, and it's not in the back of the net. I think it probably was a poor effort. I think he just swept it wide, Granit Xhaka, but it all came out of nowhere. Gabriel Jesus just picked the ball out really well, lays it off to Xhaka, and yeah, he's just swept it wide.
Yeah, it's a really good play there from Jesus to hold on to possession there. He didn't want to lose it, and the right back there, and Wepe was always coming in trying to nick it away from him, but he did really well to scoop it back in the air, sets it up really nicely for Xhaka. He's got to be doing better there, got to at least hit the target.
Certainly does. It's Nketiah on the ball at the moment. It's non-stop from Arsenal. Doesn't look like PSV are going to try and have the ball for too long. They're going to use that pace of Simons and Gakpo on the counter-attack. You would imagine will be their tactic at the moment. They're not trying to hold on to it as much as you'd expect. Fabio Vieira just dropping in deep, having to lay the ball off to Rob Holding. And a little triangle with Gabriel back to Vieira. He's been impressive when he's played, and lovely ball now to Tierney. He's just flicked it in front of the defender, trying to chase onto it. A bit of a mix-up at the back, and Granit Xhaka's picked up the ball in the area. He's going to try and find someone in the middle. Saka was waiting. A block puts it out the way, and now Tierney puts it back into the box. Saka's head's on it. Jesus trying to control his chest. There's a clattering between two players, and in the end, the referee says that it was Gabriel Jesus' elbow that's knocked into Veerman, I believe, or it may have been.
Yeah, it was a handball there.
Oh, has he given a handball?
I think he's given a handball against Gabriel Jesus as the ball came down. Very harsh though, it came off the chest. Jesus did a signal to the chest saying it didn't hit the hand, and I think he's right there, Jesus. It does ricochet off the chest. The arm is there, but it doesn't touch it, so poor decision from the ref.
It is a poor decision from the ref. Past about 13 minutes and change, and it's still 0-0 in this game. Arsenal playing host to PSV Eindhoven. Throw in from Tomiyasu on the right-hand side, finds Bukayo Saka. He's come in quite central. He's got Nketiah making a run on the left. He's managed to find Eddie Nketiah, just rolling his ball over the foot, trying to tease the defenders to allow Saka to get into a better position. Tierney comes out to help out, returns the favour back to Nketiah, chips it over towards Granit Xhaka, but a poor piece of control, and it's won back by Mwene. He's just going to be pinned in towards his corner, makes a clearance away. A nice little header actually down by Xavi Simons, and the ball finally in the comfortable possession of PSV. And as I say, that Lokonga puts a foot in and just slows things down. Free kick to PSV.
Yeah, it's a good chance for PSV just to settle things down now. They've really had none of the ball. Arsenal relentless in their attacking play. So they definitely want to settle things down here, PSV. Probably a little bit of respite for them defenders who have been working hard so far, and let's see if they can hold on to possession for a bit longer than they have done already, because well, since they've had the ball, it's been non-stop clearance and Arsenal straight back on the counter.
It has long ball forward from Benitez. It's won back by Tomiyasu, but his header doesn't find anyone, so it's straight back at the feet of Eric Gutierrez in the middle. He finds Sangare. Just triangles at the back now for PSV. They're going to try and break through that press, and it's so important. If you can get past that first four sort of front line of Arsenal, you find space in the midfield, but they do so well to get back in time. And Granit Xhaka's such an experienced player. He can push forward and come back and help out. He's certainly come into his own this season, Granit Xhaka. He's had a lot of attention for the wrong reasons at Arsenal in his time in North London, but finally getting the attention that maybe he feels he deserves. PSV on the ball on the right-hand side. Kieran Tierney wins it back off them, just trying to nick the ball away and run down that side, but it's won back straight away again, and it's Xavi Simons, and here's the opportunity for PSV to flex their attacking muscles. The ball spread wide left to Cody Gakpo. Lovely touch as he plucks it out the air. Shapes onto his right foot, trying to find a ball over the top for Simons, and it's cleared away. In fact, it was trying to find it for Gust Till. It was Simons waiting on the edge of the box, and it was headed away, but PSV finally trying to push on to Arsenal and create something. On the right-hand side, they start again with Ramon. Options ahead of him. Goes to Simons, and he has to go all the way back now to Obispo to start again. Gutierrez on the left-hand side. Lays it down the flank towards Gakpo, and this is where the trouble is. He can run at his man, Cody Gakpo rather. Cuts in on his foot. Fabio Vieira's in there to just settle things down and push PSV away, but it's finally the turn of PSV, the Dutch outfit, to try and start something and have a bit of the ball. Gakpo again on the left-hand side. He's got Saka in front of him. Lovely ball round the corner. A cross comes in. Rob Holding gets a clearance on it, and then Tomiyasu does really well to prevent it going for a corner. It's a throw into PSV on the near side. Yeah, it's a good play there by PSV. They're slowly growing into the game, aren't they now? They've sat back. They've survived that first wave of pressure for Arsenal, and now it's their turn. Philippe Max and Gakpo, they're the two that I think are going to be the ones to watch. Down this left-hand side, trying to target when Saka goes forward and attacks. They're going to try and want to double up on Tomiyasu like they did there. A really nice ball in behind from Gakpo, but it was a good clearance from Rob Holding. Tomiyasu forced into just scooping it away for a throw. And Wene on the right-hand side crosses it in to the middle, searching for Till, but comfortable header away. Bukayo Saka will hold the ball on the right-hand side, waiting for someone as an option. He twists and turns and finally manages to switch the ball onto the left-hand side, where Kieran Tierney will find a pocket of space. Time for Arsenal now to just try and take the sting out of PSV. As you say, they were growing into the game, and Arsenal will feel certainly more comfortable if they can be the team to dominate possession and push PSV into their own half. Gabriel on the ball now. Infield to Kieran Tierney, as you say, playing that central midfield role, but not a central midfielder's pass there as he misses Rob Holding, and it has to go all the way back to Matt Turner. Turner back to Holding, spreads it left to Gabriel. He's just going to find Xhaka on that left-hand side. He'll drop into that left-back position if Tierney is caught out of position. He has played there a few times towards the back end of last season when they had injuries. Granit Xhaka managed to slot into that left-back role in times of need under Mikel Arteta's regime. Saka to Lokonga. Lokonga with a really poor ball. He's searching for Xhaka, and Granit Xhaka lifts his hands above his head and claps Albert Sambi Lokonga to say it was the right idea, just wrong execution. And Mikel Arteta ponders on the sideline. He always agitated figure, Mikel Arteta, isn't he? And he certainly won't be pleased with mistakes like that. No, he won't, and I think that's the difference when you don't have that player like Thomas Partey in there. Sambi Lokonga, for all the good that he's doing, and he's still young, he's still developing as a player, but he's got to sharpen up that sort of area of his game. He finds himself in the right positions defensively, but doesn't quite have that same output going forward and linking up play that Thomas Partey has. So he's got big boots to fill, but I'm sure with experience it'll come in the end. But for now, he's trying his best, but you do see that in his game. But he's maybe just got to refine the sort of sharper details in his game first. Yeah, it certainly does. Media reports coming out from an interview from him just a week or so ago of him saying that towards the end of last season, when he wasn't getting the minutes, when he wasn't playing the way he wanted to, he said he called his agent and told them that he wasn't sure whether joining Arsenal was the right move, and maybe it was a step too far too early, but they've reassured him that it is, and he's playing a big part in the Europa League campaign at the moment, and it seems that he's a big part of the future of Arsenal. Thomas Partey, obviously heavily injury prone, and his years left probably limited with the age that he's currently at. Fabio Vieira, and now it is Sambi Lokonga in the middle of the park. That's a more like it from him. Just pass over to the left-hand side to Kieran Tierney. Arsenal back on top in this game. Granit Xhaka fires one into Nketiah, but he just gets the ball stuck underneath his feet, but he does really well to just spin away and find the ball back to Granit Xhaka. He gives it to Jesus. Just a chance for him to shoot from distance. He does shoot, but he drags it wide left, low of the post. Yeah, it's a nice effort there from Jesus. It's encouraging to see that they're not scared to go from range, are they? They don't have to try and walk it in, Arsenal, and Xhaka picks him up. Really poor defending there from PSG. Somebody's got to pick him up. You can't be leaving Gabriel Jesus on the edge of the box with that much time and space to get a shot away. They've all sort of honey-potted around the ball and gone straight for Xhaka, trying to squeeze him out of possession, leaving the free man on the edge of the box. Eventually, a player like Gabriel Jesus will punish him. Certainly will. He's been such a big part of the way Mikel Arteta has changed this Arsenal team this season. They look maybe not title contenders for some, but at what point do you call them that when they're sat atop of the Premier League table, 4 points clear? Granit Xhaka now in midfield. He's got Nketiah in front of him. It's a really nice pass to find Eddie Nketiah. He gives it to, in fact he doesn't, he looked like he was about to give it to Tomiyasu, but he turned away instead, gives it back to Granit Xhaka, fires one into Jesus. Xhaka, lovely little turn from Jesus, and he finds a pass on the left-hand side to Tierney. Opens up his body looking to cross Kieran Tierney. Does get across, but it's a block by Philippe and Wene, and it will be an Arsenal corner. Kieran Tierney straight over to try and take it quickly.
Yeah, it's a nice passage of play over on the left-hand side. Tierney looking lively. He's looking a little bit more attacking than we usually see from him, which is positive signs. He needs to be over there to help Nketiah, who's usually a centre-forward like we know, so they need to try and work together to double up against Philippe Weme. And I think they're doing it well so far. Tierney's getting himself in much more advanced positions, and his delivery looks a lot better.
It's Fabio Vieira standing over the corner, out-swinging left-footed corner, doesn't beat the first man, it's headed away, but Lokonga knocks it back in with his head. Granit Xhaka maybe got a chest, maybe got a hand on it, there was shouts for it, but it doesn't matter, it's cleared away by PSV. Tierney just knocks it back to Matt Turner to start again from the beginning. It's still 0-0 in this game between Arsenal and PSV. Clock ticking on as neither side really had clear-cut opportunities, but there's certainly been attacking threats from both. Arsenal looking the more likely of the two to score, but as I say, nothing clear-cut just yet. The ball with Gabriel. Cross to Rob Holding. Players in front of him, many blue shirts as well though, PSV shirts, just trying to block those lines, not allow them to play those forward passes, and Rob Holding's just taking his time, pondering on the ball. Gives it to Tomiyasu and then has to make himself an option backwards, and they're forcing the backwards and sideways passes a lot. Arsenal just won't mind it. Mikel Arteta, under the Pep Guardiola school of thinking, will know that he don't mind his side just having control of the ball. It doesn't matter if it's not always to create something, the space will happen, but at the moment it's not happened just yet. They'll have to make sure at 0-0 that they don't give away a sloppy pass. The ball back now with PSV, and just as we tick past the halfway point in this first half, it's Arsenal 0, PSV 0, and to take you through two half-time, it's Harry Jones.
Yeah, switch play from PSV over towards his left-hand side. It was a poor ball though, and it was always a dangerous one. Looking for the run of Gakpo. Arsenal will intercept with Bukayo Saka. So they're back in possession. PSV pretty wasteful when they do have the ball. Something they will need to sharpen up on if they are going to break down this Arsenal team. They need to have more of the ball, as Cody Gakpo almost picks up a loose pass from Bukayo Saka there, but can't help it from falling out of play out on this near side. Tomiyasu takes the throw in quickly. Jesus brought to ground. Referee says no foul. Sami Lokonga there dispossessed by Ibrahim Sangare, and now they'll look to counter here, PSV, as Till tries a ball out wide, but another sloppy pass. I think this time they will go back though. The referee calling for the foul in the middle of the park for PSV, so chance them just to settle things down once again and try and get back on the ball.
Yeah, Granit Xhaka's quite lucky there actually. Gus Till sort of, as he was trying to release that ball down the flank, he had a handful of his shirt, Granit Xhaka, and I think he's quite lucky to get away with not getting a yellow card there. He's certainly the kind of player that referees like to give yellow cards to, but it may be that it's not a Premier League referee who doesn't quite know his reputation. That could be the reason why it's not given. But yeah, signs for PSV, and here they are again. Yeah,
nice splitting ball there from Sangare, looking for Till in behind the defence. He will get towards the byline. He was racing to try and keep up with the pass from Sangare. Slightly overhit, but they will restart here with Gutierrez back in towards his defensive teammate, and now they'll drift over towards the right hand side. It is with Mwene. He'll go back in towards Romalo. Romalo with a direct pass into Xavi Simons, who is looking lively as ever when he's on the ball. He's so small, and he's got that low centre of gravity, really hard to knock off the ball, but a back pass towards his goalkeeper, almost picked out there by Gabriel Jesus, but fortunately Benitez will get there. The Argentinian clears long, and it will go back out for another throw-in, but there's a dangerous pass there from Xavi Simons. He almost sent his goalkeeper down a very dark alley, and well, Jesus is always going to be prying on those sort of opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to be careful, Xavi Simons. He's got so much attacking threat going forward, but he's still young, he's still inexperienced. It didn't work out for him at Barcelona, it's not worked out for him at PSG, and now he finds himself at PSV trying to make things work, and he seems to have settled into a bit of form, but still an inexperienced player who's going to make mistakes, and it's up to this PSV side to make sure that he's covered, because the experienced players of Kieran Tierney and Granit Xhaka down that side are going to be able to prey on any mistakes he does make.
Yeah, Rob Holding now, a direct ball in towards the feet of Xhaka, under pressure there from Sangare, but he'll quickly relieve possession towards Gabriel. He's gone back across the penalty area, him and Rob Holding. Just a bit of interplay between the two, trying to spread this PSV front line to create the gaps for the midfield, and they have done so as Tierney eventually forced into going back towards Gabriel, the Brazilian, looking up. He's looking like he wants a direct pass, but he's almost calling for Sami Lokonga to make himself an option into the feet, but Xhaka will continue here as he tries to flick the ball through to Gabriel Jesus, who dropped a little bit short there, but they have relieved possession, and now it is with Xavi Simons, who is getting away from Granit Xhaka, who can't keep up with him. He's still moving with it. Simons here, he goes for goal, tries to lift it over Matt Turner there, and it sat up nicely for him. You got to take your hat off to him. He's always going to go for the shot there, but he just can't keep it down and keep it goal bound.
Yeah, I think he's just got his body shape all wrong as he's heading towards goal. He's sort of leaning over the ball a bit too much. Actually, looks like he's trying to chip Matt Turner, but on second glance of the replay, I don't think at all that's what he's trying to do. I think he's just trying to let fly, but because he's leant over the ball too much, he lifts it up too high, and it goes over the top of Matt Turner's goal. But it could be Arsenal's turn here. Yeah, Arsenal looking dangerous on the counter here as Granit Xhaka. A little bit of a sloppy pass out towards this right-hand side. Vieira will keep it in, though, and the attack is still alive. Fabio Vieira still holding on to possession here, drifting further and further in field before going in towards Bukayo Saka with a really nice ball. It's picked out there by PSV, though. Good defending, but Arsenal knocking on the door there slightly. It took a little bit of defensive brilliance there to get the ball away from Saka, who looked goal-bound. The attack isn't quite dead just yet, though, as Gabriel picks up on halfway. And they will reset here, Arsenal. They're happy to slow things down, though, and wait for the right opportunity as Rob Holding tries a ball over the top. Bukayo Saka with a beautiful first touch to pluck it out the air. Still trying to twist and turn away from Philip Max. He delivers a ball into the box, but it's straight into the hands of Benitez, and another effort squandered by Arsenal. Yeah, it does well down the right-hand side, Bukayo Saka, to even get a cross off, really. He's doubled up on. It's something we've seen in the Premier League quite a lot with Bukayo Saka this season. People will double up on him, and then he's actually got a third PSV man sort of waiting in the wing. He does get the cross in, but his vision's blocked, and there's so many players in his way that it ends up just floating into Benitez's hand as Arsenal win the ball high up the pitch again, though. Yeah, Mwene relieving possession once again. Jesus tries a cute little dummy there to allow Fabio Vieira to pick it out, but Gutierrez cleared, but only as far as Tomiyasu, with a really poor delivery in the box there from Takehiro Tomiyasu. But they can't clear the lines here, PSV. Eventually, I think the referee has given a handball against Arsenal there for a bit of interplay. We're just seeing Veerman there just trying to lift the ball away, and it does hit the arm of Fabio Vieira, but it is ricocheted off the thigh, so maybe slightly unfortunate there for the Arsenal midfielder. PSV did get the game back underway, though, pretty promptly, as Fulton's going back towards the goalkeeper Benitez. The Argentinian doesn't take his chances. He will clear long, looking for Till, but Rob Holding will get his head to that one, as he can only pick out a PSV player, though, so it is in the possession of the away side. Now Gakpo will have a chance to do what he does best, run it at the defenders, and well, this time he twisted and turned away from Tomiyasu, tried to give and go there with Veerman, but they've lost out of possession once again, Arsenal, and now Sambi Lokonga just helps it out towards Xhaka. He'll slow things down, though. Won't be any rush to throw the ball forward just yet. Just waiting for the Arsenal attacking line to form a bit more of a solid shape in order to break down this PSV side. And Nketiah back in towards Tierney. Tierney will switch things over to this right-hand side, holding in towards Vieira, who's dropped the deepest of all the midfielders here. Fabio Vieira trying to orchestrate from deep. Gabriel back across halfway now, and Sambi Lokonga goes back in towards Vieira. A nice smart body shimmy away from the midfielder there, and he does pick out Tomiyasu, delivers a ball into the area. It looked like it sat up nicely for Xhaka, just couldn't quite get his head over it. It was always rising there, and it will be picked up, though, by Kieran Tierney over on the far touchline, sorry, as we're seeing it on our pictures, holding in towards Lokonga. Now Vieira once again dropping fairly deeply. He does deliver a ball in towards Gabriel Jesus, who looked like he was going to slam one home there, but he just didn't quite connect to it. It was a bit of a difficult angle to get to direct goal. I was not sure if he did take a touch on it. It's a really dangerous effort, and you just got to wonder how Gabriel Jesus is allowed to get into that area. Yeah, it's a lovely ball over the top by Vieira, but Jesus is just wide open in the middle. It's a tricky little one to try and get his foot on, and he just about misses it, but the ball over the top from Vieira was superb, but the pressure is just non-stop from Arsenal at the moment. Yeah, it is, as here they are once again, just dancing around the edge of the area, just flirting with that PSV goal, Arsenal, as Tomiyasu now goes back towards halfway, and Rob Holding will look to spray it out to the left-hand side to split apart this PSV regimented double bank of three that they have in front of the Arsenal defence. They're all camped back in their own half here, PSV, so they're not taking any chances. As Bukayo Saka does really well to get away from a couple of players there, and Vieira tries a ball into the box, cleared away this time by Romalo, but I don't think it's cleared
all too comfortably there, as Bukayo Saka, just beautiful feet there, dances in and out of a couple of players. He's looking very lively.
Yeah, really exciting stuff down that right-hand side from Saka. It's almost like he's got nowhere to go, and somehow he manages to flick it in between the two and then play a pass off, and Arsenal maintain the ball.
Yeah, Tomiyasu in towards Xhaka, moving the ball a bit quicker here now. Arsenal's Lokonga will drift it over towards Gabriel. He tries a splitting pass in behind the defence. Gabriel Jesus just can't get on the end of it. It looked like it sat up so nicely for him, but it just rolled underneath the foot of the Brazilian from his international counterpart. Xhaka was the man who directed it towards Jesus in the end. It was a really nice pass from Xhaka, completely blind there, a little back heel in towards the Brazilian. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, really smart stuff from Granit Xhaka. You'd think he was like a seasoned attacking midfielder with that pass. He just sort of waits for it to come to him, opens up the side of his foot and just lets it bounce off the outside of his foot to find Jesus. And you just got to think that maybe Jesus wasn't on the same page. He didn't think Xhaka was going to be able to find him from that angle, and because of that he's seen it too late and he can't get it under control. Yeah, and Nketiah just drifting past a couple of players with ease there, but he's run into his own teammate there. Xhaka, the man on the floor, and well, he seemed like he impeded his teammate for a second, as now PSV look to attack, but Xavi Simons just doesn't quite watch the line, and Arsenal take the free kick very quickly, but the referee will call it back as the ball was moving when it was taken there by Kieran Tierney, so we will have to restart. But PSV looking fairly erratic when they are in possession there. They look like they're trying to move the ball a little bit too quickly for their own good, as Xavi Simons, it is actually closer than what I initially anticipated. He was almost onside there, but right decision from the linesman to call it offside. Yeah, it's just literally like one of his feet offside, and at first it looked like he was going to be a good 2-3 yards off, but right decision by the linesman. But it does just show that if that pass just comes half a second earlier, Arsenal can be caught out when they do send too many men forward, and that attacking threat from PSV is so dangerous. Yeah, it is, as they look to play out from the back here now with midfield. Gutierrez tries the ball over the top once again, looking for Gakpo. He looks like the man that they're trying to force everything down, and you can understand why with his 13 goals and 11 assists in all competitions this season. He's a man in fine form. And he's the man that will probably make everything tick from a PSV standpoint this evening, as we see the travelling fans in the away end all stood up. The drums are being loudly played and fans are singing. They're definitely up for it. They're acting as the 12th man for their side, but as far as chances are concerned, they haven't really had much to write home about so far. PSV, you'd expect them to come out and throw the cat amongst the pigeons, but it hasn't quite worked out just yet. Ball over the top, looking for Till. Rolls all the way back towards Matt Turner. He'll take his time and spraying it out towards Gabriel. Just ticking over the 33rd minute here, and still remains goalless at the Emirates. Arsenal definitely looking on top though. Jesus tries the ball in towards Vieira. He's dispossessed there. A smart challenge coming in from the defender. They'll look to play over the right-hand side now, but another sloppy pass there from Ibrahim Sangare. They've just lost out, and Arsenal straight back in front here. Nketiah gets away from a couple of players, does really well there. Nketiah, they're still in possession with Xhaka. He finds Vieira. Saka is out on the right-hand side asking for the ball. He does receive it there. Bukayo Saka tries to deliver a ball in the box, and it's a dangerous one. It took a deflection off the leg of Gakpo. Benitez, for a second there, looked a little bit uncomfortable before tipping it over the crossbar. Yeah, big deflection, and it just takes it goalwards. Benitez has to just parry it over the crossbar, because it really probably would have just dropped underneath the bar, and it's almost like the top right-hand corner. It was just sort of dying right on top of the goalkeeper, and he took no chances and knocked it out for another Arsenal corner. On second look, it probably was going to go out for a corner anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered either way, but corner it is. Yeah, the goalkeeper never wanting to take chances. He knows he's going to concede a corner if it does go out, so he might as well make sure of it, as they're just waiting for the referee's call to get the game back underway from the corner. He's just hearing something in his ear now, and we're just now we will get back underway, as he is calling for the corner to be taken, so maybe a check for a potential decision. Not sure whether it was a handball from the cross, possibly. Yeah, maybe potential flick from the arm of Gakpo, but referee says nothing wrong, so Saka will deliver the in-swinging corner. It's a good one towards the back post, and it defeats everybody there, and they're calling for another corner here, Arsenal, but I think it's Gabriel, the man who got his head onto it, and I think Gabriel Jesus was also at the back post waiting to get on the rebound. Yeah, it's Gabriel who goes across first. It comes off his shoulder, and then Jesus is just inches away from being the lone wolf at the back post, ready to just nod it in. And 2-3 times already now in this game where an inch closer and Gabriel Jesus could have had a goal. He's just been not off the pace as such, but just so close to getting the goal that he would want and not being able to do it so far. And I think maybe if Gabriel gets a slightly better contact on that rather than it coming off his shoulder, it could be a goal. The fans for PSV at the moment, as we can see on our screens, are going absolutely crazy, jumping up and down, and certainly, as you said earlier, becoming that 12th man for the Dutch side.
And a goal kick taken there by Benitez, picked up there by Jesus. Slightly heavy touch though, and they will clear it away. Obispo, the man to drift it over to the left-hand side, looking for Wene, but he can only usher it out for another Arsenal throw inside the PSV half. Arsenal back underway pretty quickly. Tierney and Nketiah linking up just to draw a couple of those PSV attackers out in order to find the gaps in the defence, as Rob Holding does find Gabriel. Direct ball in towards Jesus. Jesus, lovely hold-up play before playing out Kieran Tierney. He tries to get a ball back to Nketiah, but a big sliding challenge comes in there from Romalo, and it will be another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, they're just putting pressure on now, Arsenal. They're sort of turning the screw. Earlier on, they probably had better opportunities, but now they're just having a constant wave of pressure. They're turning that screw. They're making PSV have to defend, have to think about every attack that's going forward, and you feel that they're just knocking on the door and a goal is almost imminent.
Fabio Vieira standing over the corner, bit of a left-footed out-swinging ball. He delivers another nice one in towards the penalty area. It's bouncing around and nobody can get the end of it. It's once again Gabriel, the man at the centre of all the attacking prowess there, as the flag has gone up to signify an offside, I think, against the Brazilian. But once again, he's the man in the centre of all of the action, Gabriel. Another dangerous delivery, maybe a potential handball against the Brazilian, or Nketiah might have been offside. I'm not sure either way. It will be a PSV goal kick.
Yeah, he's been a threat from those corners, Gabriel Jesus, the Premier League's highest scoring defender last season. He's certainly someone who can put the ball in the back of the net when he needs to, and at the moment it feels like he's been the biggest threat for Arsenal in terms of those set pieces. They've already had 6 corners, and if they continue to have more and they continue to try and put it on his head, they'll be hoping that one of those can find its way into the back of the net, but finally PSV get the ball cleared.
Yeah, they do eventually get the ball into Arsenal's half, and I think for the most part they're just wanting a bit of territory against the Gunners, as they've fallen really out of favour so far, and they could be counting their lucky stars that they are still on level terms with the home side, as Arsenal definitely having the lion's share of chances. As Gabriel has his head up, he's asking for Kieran Tierney to drift out wide and offer himself as an option out on the left-hand side, as Rob Holding does eventually find the Scotsman. Tierney helps it on towards Nketiah. He's got his back to goal, always backpedaling here as he's pushed away by Mwene. Eventually sprays it out towards Holding. Arsenal steady possession for now. For a direct pass goes into Bukayo Saka, and he does really well to beat Philippe Max there, and Saka's still going here. They've got an overlap. They've got numbers over here, Arsenal, as Nketiah tries to deliver a ball across the box. He gets it back, though, from the deflection. It comes out towards the edge of the penalty area. Kieran Tierney can't quite make anything stick in the penalty area, but you just see Fabio Vieira on the overlap there. If Bukayo Saka just got his head up, it's an almost certain goal-scoring opportunity there for Arsenal.
Yeah, well, it all comes from Bukayo Saka. He's done so well to stay on his feet. There's 2-3 PSV players just trying to take him to ground and stop that attack, but he manages to get it away in the end. There's a nasty tackle on the edge of the area there, and it is going to be a free kick to Arsenal in a dangerous position now. Yeah,
Ibrahim Sangare, the man penalised. Granit Xhaka was making inroads on the PSV penalty area. Just chops the player to the ground. The Switzerland captain brought to ground, and essentially a yellow card displayed by the referee, but we'll have to wait on confirmation as Sangare seemingly giving a real tactical challenge there and just letting Granit Xhaka know that he's there. For now, I think it stands as not a booking for the referee, so it will just be a free kick for Arsenal in a dangerous position. Fabio Vieira, the man who is placing the ball down on the ground. The referee just instigating to the PSV players where their wall can be placed. It'll be a 3-man wall, as Benitez barking orders at the wall, trying to get them in a position. So I think he knows that Fabio Vieira is very capable of scoring from a position like this. It's in a nice, favourable area. I mean, he's a left footer, so potentially you'd want a right footer if you were going to go for goal. So maybe a cross might be the more favourable option for Vieira. Plenty of players in the area to aim at for the new Arsenal signing. The referee just asking for the Arsenal players who are making a wall in front of the PSV wall to make sure they're not obstructing as such. Vieira goes for goal and he just drifts wide of the post. It hits the outside of the netting. It was a really dangerous effort. Potentially Benitez had it covered, but a really nicely taken free kick.
Yeah, it's nice, but he's just never got enough spin on it to curl it around and into the corner. It ends up clattering into that side netting, but because of the PSV wall being a four-man wall, it was just a bit too wide on that right-hand side, and it didn't allow them to just curl it around. I think he constantly looked like he was going to cross it and maybe caught Benitez out a little bit by giving him the eyes, looking like he was going to float a ball in, but maybe at the end of all of that, it might have been a better idea to just pop a ball into the box. There's so much threat in terms of height for Arsenal when they do go forward with Tomiyasu holding and Gabriel in there. And I'll be disappointed that that one's maybe not challenged the keeper a bit more.
Yeah, Arsenal trying to play out from the back here. PSV really squeezing them here with their press, and it has worked as such, as they have got a throw in deep inside the Arsenal half. Gakpo will take quickly, receives it back though, and he'll have a chance to run at this Arsenal defence. He hasn't done so much running with the ball at his feet so far, Gakpo. They've been starved of chances, PSV, but they are back in possession late on in this first half. Still, the scoreline remains 0-0. But PSV can grab a goal against the run of the tide here, then they're definitely going to half-time the happier side, as Benitez is forced into a long clearance there, as Gabriel Jesus was putting him under all sorts of pressure. Goal kick can only go as far as Matt Turner in the other penalty area though, and Arsenal back in steady possession as we're into the 42nd minute. Not long now until half-time. About 2.5 minutes plus whatever additional time we will have. I'm not sure we'll have too much though, as there's been no goals and hardly any stoppages in this first half, so maybe not as much time as they may think on the field here, as Tomiyasu, hugging the right touchline, does eventually drift back in field, goes back towards Rob Holding. He helps it out towards the left-hand side now, and Gabriel will have a chance to pick out an option forward. He does go back towards Lokonga. 1-2 there with Granit Xhaka, and Arsenal, for all the possession they're having, not quite moving the ball quick enough to break down this PSV side just yet. Kieran Tierney seemingly has half the pitch ahead of him out on that left-hand side. Eventually he is picked out before being closed down by Xavi Simons, but he does find Granit Xhaka, tries a cute back heel, wasn't going to work that time, but they've been fortunate there, as PSV did give the ball away, but they've got it back straight away now, and Simons will look to take on Kieran Tierney. He's done really well there, Xavi Simons, and now he's going to drift in field and try and pick out an option. He's forced into going all the way back though, and they will try and reset here, PSV, as it is now with Gutierrez on this near touchline, tries the ball over the top, looking for Philip Max, who's made a run in behind. He has got there, Philip Max, and a ball into the box. It's a really poor one, and well, for a side that have been starved of chances, really, I think he was offside in the end, so it wasn't going to make any difference. But well, you'd expect him to be doing better from there by the byline.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the only thing he has to do there is just try and just hit it as hard as he can across the face of goal. If it comes off an Arsenal player and goes out for a corner, you've got a corner, it might end up in the back of the net, or maybe a PSV player gets his foot on it. But what he's tried to do, Philip Max, is sort of loop the ball in to play the perfect pass, and in doing so, it's an impossible task on the angle he was at, and he's just hit it straight out of play. And it's almost that sort of thing where players just don't think as much when they're under the caution. Then they have to make the most of the opportunities they have had, and because Arsenal have been on top, it's something that PSV are struggling with at the moment. When they do go forward, they need to think more, they need to understand how to play.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka doing really well there to get in behind into towards the penalty area now. He's taken on a couple of players. The shot ricocheted off the body of the defender. Trying to get it back though, Saka, but it wasn't going to stick that time, as Arsenal will still hold possession here. It's coming up to the 45th minute. Not long left if they do want to go into the break leading Arsenal, as Tomiyasu sprays one out towards Gabriel. They're trying to move towards the left-hand side now. We are into additional time. It will be 1 extra minute, so definitely not long left now for any side to make an impact in the going into the break. And Nketiah drops it back in towards Lokonga. Helps it out towards Tierney, now further on to Xhaka. They need to get the ball in the box here, Arsenal, as Nketiah now looks to dance away from a couple of blue shirts. Gabriel back out towards Xhaka once again. He's got help down the line in Jesus. Opts to go himself, but he has been played out of possession there by Xavi Simons, and he tries to go down the line, and Granit Xhaka will bring him to ground. I'm sure that'll be a yellow card for Granit Xhaka, a player who's no stranger to the referee's book, and, well, a pretty needless challenge, you'd think, late on in this first half, and it'll be a bit of a cynical foul to give away in a very silly challenge.
Yeah, certainly a yellow card. Xavi Simons, although he's got pace and a chance to break, there's no PSV players in front of him, and there's also a couple Arsenal shirts ready to make a tackle, but Xhaka doesn't feel that he can trust that, and he sticks his foot across in a pretty needless position and picks up the first yellow card of the game. But I said earlier, he was pretty lucky to not get one for tugging the shirt, so certainly with those two, you definitely feel he deserves a yellow card.
Yeah, you would, as the referee does blow his whistle to signify the end of this first half. Neither side able to break the deadlock, so we will go into the break. Arsenal 0, PSV 0.
Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, it's half-time between Arsenal and PSV, and the score is 0-0. Neither side really having clear-cut opportunities, but Arsenal being by far the better side so far. Bukayo Saka sparkling out of all the attacking talent that is on the pitch, and he's the one that's created the most. Gabriel's come close with a few headers from corners, but nothing really doing. It was Xavi Simons that came closest for PSV with a long-distance effort that he looped over the top, but no real efforts challenging the keepers. It's half-time, 0-0. Well, just leave that there as this game gets back underway. A clash between Arsenal and PSV Eindhoven at the Emirates Stadium. It's an independent off-tube studio commentary here. My name's Joshua Hall. I'm joined by Harry Jones. We'll get his opinion in a moment. It doesn't look like there's been any changes from what we can see at half-time. It was the first half dominated by Arsenal, really, but no clear-cut chances by either side. We were just talking at half-time, Harry, about whether or not we're going to see goals in this second half, and I think we're both of the opinion that there's a bit too much attacking quality for this game to end 0-0.
Yeah, I think it will. Either end, I'm not really sure. I mean, Arsenal definitely looking the more convincing so far, so I feel like maybe if you grab an early goal, PSV forced into coming out, it is a must-win game for them if they want to top the group, so it could just open up the game slightly, and then you may see the floodgates open. I mean, that's from a neutral perspective, that's what you want to see happen. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what unveils in the second half.
Yeah, could do one here. It's Gabriel Jesus just hovering around the edge of the area. It's Gutierrez just sticks a leg in and manages to win the ball back for PSV. It's now down on that right-hand side with Gust Hill. But a poor, sloppy pass as he tried to find Philip Mwene and went out of play. And then poor from Arsenal once again as the ball's just floating between each side. And PSV are the team with it back at foot. Sengare has it under pressure from Lukonga. Tierney comes across and wins it back off Hill, but puts it out four-way throw in. But I think there may be a free kick given, and much to Mikel Arteta's dismay, it is 0-0 in this game. The last time these two teams met was back in 2007, and that one ended in a 1-1 draw. We're talking about attacking talent. In that game, it ended 1-1. I don't know if you remember Alex, the old Chelsea centre-back, but he scored one at his own goal and one at the other end. So a centre-back got 2 goals in that game. Not quite the attacking talent that you'd expect, but 2007, the last 2 times these teams met. It's still 0-0 in this game. PSV will be hoping that they can get the result from this, climb themselves back on top of the group. Arsenal will feel that maybe it's pretty much their group to lose. If they can even get a draw out of this, they'll remain top. Just 2 games left to play afterwards. It's PSV on the ball at the moment on the right-hand side with Mwene. To Singare. Now to Marlow. Long ball over the top, headed back by Gabriel and chased down by Mwene, but out for a throw-in. On the right-hand side for PSV as they just try and edge their way into this game. It's certainly, they had a sort of 5-10 minute period in that first half where they were playing good football, but it slipped away from them again towards the end of it, and it became constant Arsenal pressure. And speaking of Arsenal pressure, Gabriel Jesus wins the ball back for the Gunners as he's taken down in the middle of the park by Obispo. It's a free kick to Arsenal on the halfway line. Sambi Lukonga picks it quickly, fires it into the feet of Jesus, who's dropped in deep to try and create for Arsenal. It's now on the right-hand side with Fabio Vieira. Floats it to Bukayo Saka, certainly the star of the first half. Ball over the top, searching for Kieran Tierney. He's playing high up there in a very advanced role for the Gunners. Tomiyasu back to Rob Holding. It's now Gabriel just waiting on the halfway line. There's plenty of red shirts in front of him. He lays it off to Fabio Vieira to get some things started. Maybe a lack of creativity at times from those central positions, Arsenal, and a sloppy pass to give away there. Sangare spreads it wide to Mwene. He's got options in front of him. One of those is Seaman. Seaman just drops behind him and the pass comes back to him, but runs into traffic and has to just lay it off to Sangare. But it's back with Xavi Simons. Little back heel back once again to Sangare, and a foot left on him by Jesus, and we could be seeing the second yellow card of the game here. The referee running towards Sangare and Jesus with some intent, but just an outstretched finger and a telling off for Jesus. No card that we can see.
Yeah, it was a nasty challenge there. Jesus just catching him on top of the foot. Referee seemingly looked like he had his hand in his top pocket to book Gabriel Jesus, but I don't think he went through with the decision, so it will just be a PSV free kick. But they were fairly fortunate there. They did give away possession in a fairly sloppy area. Going forward, there's not really much movement there. Really struggling to pick away at this Arsenal defence. You saw Xavi Simons for a second just twisting and turning, waiting for an option. Once again there, giving the ball away, so they are going to have to use the ball a little bit more efficiently at PSV if they're going to get anything from the game. They're not having it much, so when they do have it, they need to be making it count.
Yeah, at the moment it doesn't particularly look like they're going to be able to score a goal the way that they are playing when it comes to attacking football. They've actually scored 17 goals in their last 4 games in all competitions, which is an outstanding number of goals for such a short period of time, and certainly feel like they need a goal in this game. Just a little replay here. Number of goals for such a short period of time. Eddie and Nketiah to the ground. Feel like again the referee's decided to keep his in this game. Just a little replay here in his pocket. Just Granit Xhaka that's picked one up so far in the first half. He remains the only player on the pitch to be in the referee's book. Tomiyasu on the right hand side now. Turns away under pressure from Gakpo. Has to go all the way back towards Matt Turner, who's come quite far out of his goal in a Manuel Neuer-esque role to come out and help the team. Now with Lukonga forward into Jesus. He just didn't really have anywhere to go. He ran himself into trouble. He was surrounded by 3 PSV players and just had to go straight backwards. It's Gabriel that has the ball now. Across to Lukonga. Tomiyasu on the right-hand side. And Arsenal now struggling to work the ball out of their own half. Not in a way of looking like they're going to lose it, but just not able to push through those lines and create further up the pitch. But Kieran Tierney tries something creative with a flick over the top. It's won back by PSV though, and that pressure does pay off for the Dutch side. Van Nistelrooy will be happy to see that working. Cody Gakpo just loose on a ball that Rob Holding wins, and Arsenal back in possession. The Gunners play the ball forward to Gabriel Jesus. He's got options to his left. One of those is Bukayo Saka. Opens up his body, plays the ball back into Jesus. Lovely turn, and then a flick of his left foot. He couldn't get it out well, and it's a poor effort, but a shot on target for Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, it was a nicely worked move there from Jesus. He was just waiting with the ball at his feet, holding it up well. Saka with a really nice ball into him, and then it's just really quick feet, isn't it, from Jesus? Twists and turns from a couple of incoming PSV challengers. Was always off balance there, moving away from the ball. It was always difficult to try and beat the goalkeeper there. It was a shot on target, like you mentioned, but definitely had no conviction. Pretty easy in the end for Benitez to save. Yeah, Granit Xhaka now just harrying the defence as he tries to win the ball back, but Sangare does well to evade the press, and PSV will start again from the back. Poor record away from home against English sides, PSV. They've won just 1 of their last 11 away matches against English sides. The only side they did beat in that 11-game stretch was Arsenal's fierce North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur back in 2007 in the old UEFA Cup, what is now obviously the Europa League. So they'll be hoping to repeat a victory on North London soil. But at the moment, they're going to need to do a little bit more. This is an opportunity to do it though. Veerman in the middle. Options on the right-hand side. A lovely ball round the back to Mwene, and there's space for him to run into. Delivers across into the middle. Xavi Simons gets an effort off, but it's gone wide, and it's gone quite far wide and quite high too.
Yeah, it was never directly goalwards, but it was a dangerous counter-attack, wasn't it? They just got the better of Arsenal on that left-hand side. Tierney tucked all the way in towards, almost alongside Gabriel. He's got to be watching that run from Mwene there out on the right-hand side. They're overlapping down that side, and Nketiah did his best to get back, but his defensive partner there, Kieran Tierney, absolutely leaving him out to dry. So Mwene with a nice ball back into the area. Xavi Simons can't directly goalwards. It was fizzed into him with such pace that he couldn't get there, but Saka's through.
Yeah, it's Arsenal in now. It's Bukayo Saka, a chance. He just tried to knock it around the keeper. It's fallen back down to Jesus. Jesus taken down in the area. Managed to try and get a shot away. He was tugged. The referee's waved play on. Benitez with the ball in his hand. That was the most clear-cut chance we've seen of the game. The initial Saka one. It then falls back to Jesus. Sangare's in and around him. It doesn't look like he's fouled him on second look. What do we think?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a foul in the end. There's not enough contact there. Jesus still gets the shot away. He's just off balance. His first touch didn't really set it up too nicely for himself. He snatched at the effort, but Saka's got to be scoring there. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. Player like Saka, who's so prolific in front of goal, you back him 9 times out of 10, but there, he's just made it so easy for Benitez. Benitez has shut that angle down. He's hit it right at the goalkeeper, and Jesus got the fortunate ricochet back into his feet. He couldn't do anything with it. Arsenal have to be clinical.
Bukayo Saka will be disappointed with himself not putting that one away. Top 10 finish in the Copper Trophy at the France Football Ballon d'Or Awards at the start of the week. We'll certainly feel he can improve on that as his career goes on, and Arsenal could be through again as it's Granit Xhaka down the left-hand side. Options in the middle, but he can't find them. It's cleared away well by Philip Max, and out for a Arsenal throw in there. Turning the screw once again, Arsenal. This game is opening up both sides with opportunities. It's Tomiyasu here inside the area, just tries to shift it onto his left foot. Good defence. It's won back by Arsenal though, once again by Jesus in a deep position. Lovely piece of skill to just get past Veerman. He knocks off past another as well and passes it to Xhaka. There's bodies flown across the floor, and we are going to see another yellow card in this game, and it's going to be a first yellow card to PSV, I believe.
It's Gutierrez, I think, the man who made the initial effort to bring down Gabriel Jesus. Jesus just magic there, wasn't it? The ball was just stuck to his feet like glue, as we see a couple of challenges that he's just evading. Nobody can get near him. Gutierrez just chops alongside him. Jesus goes down. It'll be a free kick in a dangerous area, and well, the second yellow of the game.
Yeah, second yellow card of the game, and first yellow card for PSV Eindhoven. And a free kick, as you say, in a very dangerous position as we just tick towards the 56th minute mark. It still remains 0-0 in this game. Gutierrez joins Granit Xhaka in the book. 3 stood over the wall for Arsenal. It's about 25-26 yards out. Just on the right-hand side of the D. Granit Xhaka and Fabio Vieira, the only 2 left now. It was, I think it was Jesus who was initially stood over there with them, but he's made his way into a secondary wall next to the PSV wall, joined by Rob Holding. Mikel Arteta watches over as this free kick is lined up. It's Xhaka and Vieira, 2 left-footers stood over it. Sambi Lokonga to the left-hand side of them as another option. It would be a spectacular goal if it does go in from this distance. Both over the ball, the new in Vieira, the old in Xhaka. It's Xhaka that goes for it. It slams against the wall, comes back to the experienced Swiss, and a second poor effort out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was really poor, that effort, was it, from Xhaka? Didn't beat the wall there. He hit it straight into the wall, way too low. Needs to get it up and down. Maybe Vieira, probably the better option there. He's got a bit more of a technical free kick to him rather than Xhaka's pure power that he usually goes for. So maybe the wrong option there. It did sit nicely for him back again. He's always going to go for goal. Maybe could have picked out a pass, but a player like that, when it's dropping to your feet, you're always going to go for goal, aren't you? So you can't really blame him, but another good opportunity wasted for Arsenal. Yeah,
can't profess to be a lip reader, but certainly didn't seem happy with his own work there, Granit Xhaka, from the scenes we can see on our screens. The ball now with PSV, though, as they just try and get out of this period of Arsenal pressure, but another poor long ball, and Arsenal regain possession inside the PSV half. Lokonga shoved down by Sangare, and it's another free kick to Arsenal. This one's certainly not in a shooting position, but a position for them to try and whip the ball in and get a few of their tall players in the box, trying to get on the head of it. Sangare just sort of steps across Albert Sambi Lokonga and knocks him to the ground. It's going to be Fabio Vieira to take this one. As you say, he's got a more cultured left foot than Granit Xhaka, hasn't he? A bit more of a one. Granit Xhaka, rather a battering ram at times. Fabio Silva on the far left-hand side, as our cameras see it. He's going to whip this one in. It come off the back of Xavi Simons, though, and then headed away, and it's back at the foot of Simons. A lovely flick over the head of Fabio Vieira, but alert to the situation. The Portuguese midfielder picks the ball back up for Arsenal. There's still players forward as he tries to loop one over the top. And it's a sliced effort, really, and into the hands of Benitez.
Yeah, really poor ball in there from Fabio Vieira. He did really well to regain possession. Looked like it was going to sit up nicely for a ball into the box. Just took it too quickly. I think he just rushed it there. He had time to pick out a pass. He tried to go for the switch to Saka, but it just was never going to work. Pretty comfortable for the goalkeeper to claim. And Arsenal, I wouldn't say they're running out of time, but they're running out of options, really. They've tried almost everything in the book, and they just can't seem to get it over the line.
Yeah, just can't manage to get a goal in. Maybe options on the bench for them if they felt they needed to make a tactical change and bring somebody on to change their fortunes in this Europa League Group A tie. They've certainly got options on the bench that you'd feel could change this game and could allow them to have a bit more threat. I mean, you look at the likes of Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli. We spoke earlier about him. He, yes, was ill, but he's made the bench. So Martinelli, Reece Nelson, Odegaard, Thomas Partey, the young Marquinhos. There's definitely players on that bench that will be able to make a difference in this game, as our cameras zoom in on Martin Odegaard warming up on the sidelines. He's been so impressive for the Gunners this season. A signing that really, for performances he's put in, is quite a wallet-friendly amount. Yasu just getting mixed up with Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side, and allows PSV a throw-in just inside their own half as we just tick on to the hour mark. It still remains Arsenal 0, PSV 0. Who will break the deadlock in this game? Could it be Cody Gakpo as he runs forward with the ball at the moment? Xavi Simons to his right side. He does find Simons. He comes in on his left foot. Plenty of red shirts in the way, though, and Granit Xhaka does really well to get his body across the youngster and win that ball back for Arsenal. And it's Saka who will try and start something now for the Gunners. Back to Lokonga. Xhaka now. And now onto the left-hand side with Eddie Nketiah. Still playing in that wide left role, Eddie Nketiah. Vieira's infield if he wants to find them, but he ends up just going back to Kieran Tierney, the Scotsman, making his 100th appearance for Arsenal this evening. Lovely pass in by Lokonga to Jesus. Great piece of skill. Gets a shot away. It's a fantastic save by Benitez, and that's the closest Arsenal have come again since that Saka effort, and it's Jesus who just fired it low, and a really good save by Benitez.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic save there. It looked like Gabriel Jesus was always going to score, the way he just danced past a couple of the blue shirts, and it opened up really nicely for him. Just tried to bend it into the goalkeeper's bottom right, but Benitez gets down really quick, doesn't he? Parries it away, but he does parry it right into the path of Nketiah, who just snatches at the effort. Comes down to him, and I think he just panics and tries to hit the target, knowing the goalkeeper was still on the floor. In the end, his shot, it wasn't even on target, and it didn't look like it was going to go out for a throw if PSV didn't keep the game ticking. So a couple of efforts there for Arsenal, and they are knocking on the door, but still not able to find a breakthrough just yet. Gabriel Jesus, for all the chances he's had, still not quite got his goal this evening, and will find himself very unlucky if he does end up going home tonight goalless.
Yeah, certainly will feel that he's done enough to get a goal, and a cheap giveaway of possession here to Arsenal. As Vieira on the left-hand side to try and start something again. Back to Kieran Tierney, and then returning the favour back to Vieira. An opportunity to cross, lifts one into the box. Xhaka was arriving at the back post, but it's headed away well. Headed back in by Lokonga and cleared away once again by PSV, and Arsenal will start again on the halfway line. It's Gabriel. Cross to Lokonga. Just fires it in to Xhaka, and they'll wait again, Arsenal. Slowly just trying to edge their way further up the pitch and force PSV back, but a pass like that one won't help as Rob Holding fires one across the way and it goes straight out of play. We'll get another replay at that effort from Jesus. He does so well to spin his man and then get past. Good save. It could be an opportunity here for PSV though, as Gus Till was looking to go in, but the linesman's flag goes up for offside.
Yeah, it's really disjointed stuff for PSV in terms of their transition from midfield into attack. They're just trying everything they can really, but in terms of quality, it's not really been there for them, has it? It's been very disjointed, very hit and hope, nothing really sticking. It's not really fluid, and Arsenal seemingly defending pretty comfortably every time PSV do end up breaking through, and I think it's more of a numbers game going forward. PSV just don't have the numbers to attack this Arsenal defence, who are so quick to get back into a regimented formation when they're out of possession.
Yeah, as the ball's won back in the middle by Arsenal. It's Bukayo Saka who lofts one over the top to Jesus. First time pass searching for Xhaka, but won back again by PSV. Sangare will bring it out. Comes to the right-hand side to Gustil. Shaping up against Gabriel, and he just runs straight into Gabriel. I can't tell whether it was a foul by Gabriel or whether Gustil has just decided to run into him. The referee decides it's the latter because he doesn't give a free kick for it, and Arsenal will come forward. Xhaka across to Saka. Just shapes up an effort on his left foot, and it just fires off the head of Andre Romalo, and it will go out for an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, I'd love to see a replay. Here we go. I was just about to say I'd love to see a replay from behind Saka to see if it was going on target. It looked like a dangerous effort. I think it might have been. So the head away from Romalo was definitely a needed one and a necessary clearance. Saka, we know what he can do from that sort of range. Ben went into the top corner. We've seen it happen before, and well, he's got a chance to bend one in from the corner flag here. But Arsenal, they need to make a breakthrough sooner rather than later, because the sort of frustration could start to set in sooner if they aren't going to be able to get the ball over the line.
Yeah, left-footed in-swinging corner from Bukayo Saka on the far side. It comes in now. Searching on the back post for Jesus. He jumps. He's not got the height to get over the ball, and it comes off the top of his head and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, another pretty comfortable decision for the PSV players. They can just sit back and relax, as it looks like Jordan Teze might be coming on here for PSV. They've got a double substitution in line. It's going to be Philip Max, the first man to go off. I think Teze will slot in pretty comfortably in the defence, so a like-for-like substitution there. And then the second one, Goose Till staying on the field, and we're just waiting for confirmation who he has been replaced by. It's Noni Madueke. So a straight swap up front once again, so maybe Gakpo going up front, and then Noni Madueke going out wide, but we'll have to wait and see where they sort of slot into. But Jordan Teze is now on the field as well. He's going to slot in at right back.
Yeah, they're going to change things around a little bit, PSV. Noni Madueke is obviously a player who carries a bit of threat with him. He's just come back. He was a bit of a doubt for the game. But in the side now, Madueke, and another thing for Arsenal to think about, and maybe that's the question that Ruben Nistelrooy wants to ask Mikel Arteta's side, is if I throw on another attacking player to make you think about, does it make you put less players forward and play a bit more conservatively and allow them to just come into the game a bit more? Lovely touchdown by Nketiah. Maybe there could be an opportunity now for Arsenal to see things off. It's a great effort from Nketiah, but it's just whispered wide of the post. It's not at all what you expect to see from Eddie Nketiah. He's normally a kind of player who just drifts around the 6-yard box looking to get on the end of things, but actually on second glance it's quite far wide, but at least he was trying.
Yeah, it was a dangerous effort. He just flashed past the post, like you said, but the way he chested it down and opened up his body and the way he was moving, nobody was going to catch him there, were they? And it did set up quite nicely for him, as we've seen another substitution this time for Arsenal. Thomas Partey coming on for Albert Sambi Lokonga. So Arsenal definitely, I think, getting to the stage now where Mikel Arteta feels like he needs to throw on his more trusted players in order to get a result. With Fabio Vieira now leaving the field, I'm assuming it'll be Martin Odegaard to replace him. So two big substitutions for Arsenal. Odegaard now on the field with the captain's armband. So I think it's getting to that stage now, like I mentioned, that Mikel Arteta seemingly feeling like he needs to rely on his trusted and proven players.
Yeah, certainly would feel that that's where they're ticking towards now, Arsenal. This is barring a couple, their full-strength side out there, the sort of side you'd expect them to play against the top echelons of the Premier League. You'd probably say only Nketiah, Tierney and Rob Holding are the ones that wouldn't make it into that lineup as a guarantee, as Xavi Simons is coming down the right-hand side for PSV. He gets an effort on goal. It's a good effort from Xavi Simons, but it's dealt with well by Matt Turner. A good save. He keeps the ball into himself, and Arsenal will try come out now with Martin Odegaard finally allowed to get his first touches on the ball. It was a good effort from Xavi Simons.
Yeah, it was a fantastic effort. The way he drifted past a couple of red shirts, and then I think he had a slightly heavy touch that I thought Gabriel could have come and claimed. Sort of just got caught in two minds there, Gabriel. Gabriel. I didn't know whether to come or go in the end. He stayed back and allowed Siemens to get the shot on target, which I think was the wrong idea. I think he needed to sort of close that gap, put the player under pressure and make him make a decision, but he made it very easy for Siemens to get the shot away. It was a good effort. Matt Turner did well to get down low, and it's bright signs seeing Matt Turner. I mean, he's done next to nothing all game, so it's nice to see when he is being called upon. He isn't sleeping and napping, and he hasn't switched off, so he's there when they need him.
Yeah, staying alert, and now PSV will have to stay alert as Bukayo Saka shapes up against their back four. Ball over the top. Tomiyasu searching again for Saka. An effort from Gabriel Jesus is just dragged wide and very far wide, and it's beginning to become frustration for Arsenal, and you can tell they're searching for something. And to tell you all about it and to take you through to full time, I'll pass on to you, Harry.
Yeah, I think the ball over the top looking for Saka was offside just about, so probably wouldn't have counted if a goal-scoring opportunity emerged, as we just seen the replay there of the effort from Xavi Simons. You just see the replay of the effort. Looking for that far corner he was, but Turner got down well and was alert to the danger, stopped the youngster from grabbing another goal to add to his tally this season, as goal kick taken there from Benitez, headed down by Tomiyasu, and Sangare will go back towards the defence, and they'll look to play out now. PSV, Jordan Teze with the ball over the top, looking for the run in behind of Madueke. And he's got there ahead of Kieran Tierney, just putting himself in between the man and the ball, and he's done really well. Resulting corner. Arsenal slightly on the back foot here. A couple of good chances for PSV as of late, so they'll have to be careful that they're not throwing too many bodies forward in search of a goal.
Yeah, they just seem to be knocking on the door a bit too much, Arsenal, and it's just allowed PSV to get into it. It's actually a terrific piece of goalkeeping from Matt Turner. The ball is going out for a corner, and so what he does is he just scrambles away and manages to get hold of it, but Arsenal are coming forward now.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka gets the ball all the way back towards Thomas Partey. You know, he's getting a couple of touches on the ball now himself, as he's now drifted out towards Tomiyasu. He goes towards Xhaka. The goal. The Emirates crowd are on their feet. A fantastic effort from Granit Xhaka to break the deadlock. Arsenal 1, PSV 0.
Oh, it's on his weak foot. It's from distance. It's not what you'd expect to see. He's playing that more attacking role, Granit Xhaka, but it's a brilliant goal. The cross initially comes in off the right-hand side. It's sort of bouncing around. You're not really sure where it's going to land, and he just lashes at it, the Swiss midfielder, on his right boot and just nestles it into that bottom corner, and it's Arsenal 1, PSV 0. They're constantly been knocking on the door, and they finally got the goal from not quite an unlikely source as this season goes, but certainly happy that the ball's in the back of the mat no matter who it is.
Yeah, take nothing away from the ball there from Tomiyasu, perfectly picking out Granit Xhaka there as he drifted towards the byline, cut it back to the edge of the area, and well, it's poor defending there from PSV, just switching off, allowing Xhaka all the space and time in the world. Sangare, the man that's seemingly supposed to be touch tight with the Swiss midfielder, he wasn't there to cover the danger. Xhaka, after scoring, stands still, posed, pointing towards the Emirates crowd in his show of appreciation for them, on their feet for him. And now Arsenal really coming forward as Bukayo Saka's drifted past a couple of players. He has another shot himself, and Arsenal, maybe the floodgates have opened here. Saka goes down with a potential injury here, but he gets the shot away. Benitez gets down quickly to recover it. He did well to hold on to it, but Arsenal just knocking at the door now. Maybe the floodgates are opening.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like the floodgates are opening. Arsenal are all over them now as soon as that goal's gone in. Bukayo Saka does so well. He's just got players nibbling at his ankles, trying to take him down, trying to foul him. He does so well to stay on his feet, but as a result of it, he's down on the floor now and he looks in serious pain. It could spell trouble for Mikel Arteta and for Arsenal, and the fans will certainly not be happy to see that if he is forced to go off, if it is a bad injury. He's such an important part of the way this Arsenal team plays, and with Emile Smith-Rowe out with a surgery that he's not going to be back from until after the World Cup, you'd feel there's not really an apt replacement for him on the wings. You saw them going in for sort of likes of Pedro Neto in the summer window as they tried to find a backup replacement for Saka, and he's just getting his medical treatment. Yeah, as you just look at it, he's just had a scrape down the back of his calf from Mwene, and actually starts at the beginning of the move, but he's just so determined to keep going and try and get an effort on goal, Saka, that he keeps on pushing forward, gets his shot away, and at that point then realises that he's hurt.
Yeah, it's almost flow state, isn't it? Saka there just working in autopilot there, complete adrenaline getting him through the move there, and then eventually once the once the move is settled, he then does go to ground and shows that he is in serious discomfort. So he is just gingerly walking over to the touchline, waiting for the call to maybe come back onto the field if he is okay to continue. But the game is back underway, and in possession are PSV, and Saka does gingerly jog back onto the field over towards that far side where the ball is played now, back towards the defence, and Marlowe is there to pick things up, goes across once again to Obispo. Obispo got option short, but he's still holding on to it here as he goes back on all the way to his goalkeeper in Benitez, and the Argentinian will be under pressure here from Gabriel Jesus. Tries a ball long down the line towards Gakpo. Does really well to win the header there, Gakpo. Xavi Simons tries to take it down, and as he's adopting a more central role now, he's playing as the lone striker, Xavi Simons, so big boots to fill for the youngster who's now leading the line for this PSV side, and a game that they're now chasing. 3 points is paramount in their bids to finish top of the group. Arsenal in the driver's seat right now, as Gabriel Jesus does really well to get his body in between the man and the ball and turns away pretty swiftly. Tierney helps it on towards Nketiah. They've got bodies entering the penalty area here, Arsenal, as Nketiah goes short in towards Tierney, receives it back. Tierney now once again, now he's drifting infield, decides to go back, and they will reset now, Arsenal, with Gabriel. Cross halfway now to Holding. Back in towards Gabriel on halfway. Happy to just settle the tempo, Arsenal. They've got their goal now. They're in no rush to throw bodies forward like they were 5 or so minutes ago. They have been dispossessed there, as Gutierrez does well to nick the ball away from the feet of Gabriel Jesus. It's now with Jordan Teze on this right-hand side. He helps it on towards Madueke. He's trying to turn away there from Kieran Tierney, but the ball will roll out pretty comfortably. I was going to say there, roll out pretty comfortably for an Arsenal throw, but it seems as though Kieran Tierney might have got the last touch on that one. So PSV with a chance now, and it is going to be 2 more of Mikel Arteta's noticeable players that he has in his starting 11. Gabriel Jesus, his leading man up front, is going to be dragged off now for the remaining 10 or so minutes of this second half. Gabriel Martinelli, the man who looked like he was going to be a doubt for today's game through illness, but he is going to come on to play the remainder of the fixture. 15 or so minutes left for him, so good chance for him to come on. And also the second substitution, Ben White, coming on to replace Takiro Tomiyasu.
Yeah, at this point it sort of becomes Arsenal's full-strength squad, barring Eddie Nketiah still remaining on the pitch. This side that really looks like it can control the remainder of this game. Gabriel Martinelli will shift out on that left-hand side, and Nketiah will go into that preferred central role. He likes to be the man that gets on the ends of things rather than creating things, and I think giving Martinelli those 15 minutes before a Premier League fixture of the weekend is something that Mikel Arteta will be looking at, thinking, get the juice back in his boots, because he's been superb for the Gunners so far, and they're just comfortably in this game, in control of this game now.
Yeah, Odegaard switches things out towards Ben White, who's hugging that right-hand touchline. Almost starting Arsenal right back now. Ben White playing in such fine form over in what was a secondary position for him, but really making it his own now for the Gunners, as through towards Nketiah from Xhaka. I think he was expecting Nketiah to make that run in behind the far side rather than coming in short, so a little bit of miscommunication between the pair. And now Rob Holding's been dispossessed. He's brought down Cody Gakpo, and I think the referee will go back for a foul there, as he was brought to ground there, Gakpo. Rob Holding not happy with something with the referee, but they will have the free kick, PSV.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a mix-up in the middle of the park, a few bits of loose passing, as it looks like we could be seeing another change for PSV. It's going to be Veerman off. I think it's going to be Luke de Jong who's coming on for him, so they're just trying to throw everything at it and trying to get back into this game, PSV, and this will feel that this side really haven't had enough of a foot in this game at any point. They've had opportunities, but at no point have they looked like they can really take control of this game and threaten Arsenal.
Yes, Madueke now finds Simons, who's dropped into a more of a central role now behind Luke de Jong, which would have been expected, as Arsenal Regain possession now with Granit Xhaka, helps it out towards Martinelli. He's got a lot of space now and he's going to run it. Jordan Teze and try and get to the byline. Martinelli does really well, cuts the ball back towards the edge of the box, and Ben White goes for a spectacular volleyed effort, similar to Granit Xhaka's effort that put them in the lead, but didn't make any sort of connection on the ball. And now Cody Gakpo turns away from him pretty comfortably. Ben White with another big challenge on Gakpo, but they're still in possession here as Luke de Jong tries to keep it in down the far touchline, but it will roll out for another Arsenal throw, and they'll just take a minute now to settle things down. Arsenal get back into a bit more of a solid shape in order to go back at the PSV side, as Gakpo did well initially to break away from Ben White, but another solid challenge coming in from the England international.
Really nice tackle from Ben White. He sort of realised the mistake he made from an attacking sense of not being able to get an effort off, as we just see as efforts go. Arsenal have had 21 attempts this evening to just the 4 of PSV, but only 6 of those have been on target, 1 for PSV as well. But yeah, he's been impressive since he came on, Ben White, defensively looking strong. But yeah, PSV just glimpses of it with Cody Gakpo there as he was trying to get away, but they need to do something with just 11 minutes and change remaining of regulation time. You've got to think that they need to do something.
Yeah, Odegaard with a nice ball in towards Nketiah, trying to drift away there from a couple of defenders. Partey now does find Xhaka. This is really good interplay from Arsenal, fantastic. Moving it around PSG, there's nothing they can do, and Gabriel Martinelli tries the effort from range. Good save in the end by Benitez, and the lines still aren't cleared yet, and Saka with another effort. Benitez will come and claim this one, and pretty comfortably lay down on the ground just to buy a bit of respite for his side. But lovely interplay from Arsenal, and they're knocking on the door for a second.
Yeah, it was gorgeous football to start it up. Quick passing around the edge of the area, into play, just breaking the lines, trying to get in between the PSV players, and then they found the space with Martinelli on that side. His initial effort, although had the power, it didn't really have much accuracy, as PSV are galloping forward now.
Yeah, Madueke tries to get away from Gabriel. He was brought down. I'm thinking there might have been a foul there. Referee says nothing though, but good play. But before Cody Gakpo now has a chance, and now they'll go back for an Arsenal free kick, and I think PSV will find themselves thinking themselves pretty unfortunate there, as they had claims for a free kick themselves, and in another really dangerous area they've been dispossessed. As just see a replay there, Gabriel does just stand in the way of Nouri Madueke, and well, you've got to think that PSV are fairly unlucky there, in a really good position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he certainly fouled Madueke, and then when they've won the ball back, I can't really see a foul from PSV on Martin Odegaard either. They're really quite fortunate, Arsenal, to get away with that one, because when Odegaard did lose the ball, he was just about on the edge of his 18-yard box, and it just allowed Simons and Gakpo to just jump on it, and they were looking to try and get a goal in, and fortunate to get away with that one, Arsenal. And they're just going to have to see these last 10 minutes or so out, because as it's ticking on, PSV are slowly becoming more dangerous.
Yeah, they are, but here come Arsenal with Martin Odegaard, who's galloping towards the PSV box and still holds onto the ball. He tries a cute dink over the top, looking for Granit Xhaka. Wasn't going to work this time, and then Sangare just gets himself in between the man and the ball, and PSV have been on lockdown this right-hand side. They've got a bit of an overlap over the far side, but Xavi Simons will just slow things down and pick out Nouri Madueke. He's still moving with it. A nice ball in through to Jordan Teze. He tries to give it to Luke de Jong in the middle of the area. A better ball there, and you think PSV is certain goal, but they've really messed up that move. Jordan Teze with a loose pass, and it'll roll out for an Arsenal goal kick.
Yeah, Arsenal are all over the place at the back. There's blue shirts streaming forward. A great pass from Madueke to find Teze down the right-hand side. And then all he has to do is just pick out de Jong in the middle. He's got all the time in the world to find him, but he tries to play a ball forward in front of him for Luke de Jong to run onto, and there's frustration in the striker's face as he sees that ball just fizz in front of him, far too far ahead of him for him to be able to get the effort on. And as you say, if it had have fallen at the feet of de Jong, you'd expect it to be 1-1.
Yeah, as Matt Turner takes the goal kick after a fortunate mishap for PSV. Arsenal get the ball downfield, but PSV will pick things back up now, and over on the left-hand side is Mwene. Switched over to that left-back role after the substitutions, and he goes straight into the feet of Luke de Jong. De Jong trying his best to hold up play, but Thomas Partey with a vital challenge stops him in his tracks. Granit Xhaka tries to thread a ball through to Bukayo Saka. A big challenge comes in there from PSV, but Saka's through now. They've got an overlap here, Arsenal. Bukayo Saka has the effort on goal. Martinelli was making a run in behind, but another big save from Benitez keeps things at 1.
Yeah, he's made the wrong decision. Bukayo Saka, he does really well to ride the tackle and come out with the ball, and then as they go forward, he's got Nketiah and Martinelli Martinelli was sort of storming in towards the area. He could drag one back towards Nketiah if he wanted to, or fire one across the face of goal towards Martinelli. In the end, he tries to shoot on his weak foot. It's a good save by Benitez, but wrong decision by Bukayo Saka, who to a point has been pretty flawless other than that this evening.
He's had a couple of good efforts on goal. Still no goal for him yet though, as he does take this corner, be a left-footed in swinging ball. It is a dangerous one. Dribbling into Nketiah, who gets the header away, but he was always under it there. Didn't quite get over the ball and direct it goalwards. It'll go out for a pretty comfortable goal kick.
Yeah, we'll go out for a goal kick, and looks like there might be a final change for Mikel Arteta as well. Reece Nelson looking like he's stripped and ready to come on. I think wouldn't surprise me if that was for Bukayo Saka, as Arteta starts to have one eye on this weekend's Premier League fixture against Southampton. But certainly a player who's got a lot of attacking flair. He's managed some impressive performances, but not managed to force his way into the Arsenal thinking, really, Reece Nelson, and really has to show what he's worth in these Europa League games.
Yeah, the ball over the top, looking for Nketiah, didn't find it, but they've done well to keep it in here, PSV. And now Madueke is in a really dangerous area, tries to get the better of Gabriel. Good defending from the Brazilian though, but danger isn't cleared just yet, as Gutierrez then finds Gakpo, tries to go back towards him, and cute 1-2 there, but it didn't quite stick. Arsenal trying to play out here, as going down is Bukayo Saka, and well, it's a needless challenge there from Mwene, and he's just broken up play there, as I think we will see Reece Nelson coming on for Bukayo Saka now. So a straight swap over on the right-hand side, but a very needless challenge coming in from Mwene to break up the game.
Yeah, Saka does really well to hold him off. What he's trying to do is just hold the ball up and allow himself to bring a player in, and at that point he just gets brought down, because if he had done it, he'd have got the pass away and Arsenal would have been through. But just feeling at this moment, Arsenal, that although they have been the better side and that they're playing good football and they've had good opportunities up the other way, they're sort of settling into a little bit of complacency, and is allowing PSV to have a couple opportunities and a couple efforts at goal, and there's still plenty of time left on the clock for them to grab something if they wanted to. And make no mistake, Van Nistelrooy would be very happy if his side could take a point away.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility. As the scoreline stays at 1, there's always the chance of a lucky break, especially with the attacking talent PSV do possess. All it takes is one good opportunity and we could find ourselves back on level pegging. As the long ball forward, they're looking for Luke de Jong. He does really well to beat Holding to the header. Still holding up the ball is Luke de Jong. He's got Gutierrez in support, goes back towards Sangare now, and they try and play out from halfway with Teze. Finds Madueke. Back in towards Teze, and they'll look to go from right to left now, PSV. Take over the 85th minute, not long now for the away side to grab a point. It'll be a real smash and grab if they manage to do so, with Arsenal being on top for the majority of the game. It is now back with the PSV defence as they try and work an area and try and find gaps in this Arsenal midfield, who are sitting pretty robust in their attempts to keep the scoreline as it is. Teze goes back across halfway, and with all the possession they're having at the minute, PSV here is not really finding that out ball, as they eventually do try the forward pass, but White was always reading that one, and they'll to break here, Arsenal. It looked like they were going to break, but they've slowed things down now. Probably the smarter idea with how long is left on the clock, but then another poor pass means Sangare will pick up things and will flick it off Gabriel Martinelli, but it will be an Arsenal throw. Yeah,
he does well, Martinelli, to just get across and flick it into Sangare's chest to put it out for a throw-in. And sort of the first prolonged period of possession we've seen from PSV, other than about 20 minutes into the first half, but they're not doing enough with it when they have the ball. They almost want to prey off Arsenal's mistakes to be able to get anything from it, and the Gunners have yet to really make any defensive mistakes to allow them to do so. And barring the fortunate refereeing decisions that they had earlier on, Arsenal, you'd feel they're pretty comfortable, except from there's just always that threat from PSV with the likes of Madueke, Gakpo and Simons on the pitch, but a chance for Arsenal to put this game to bed with this corner.
Yeah, Gabriel Martinelli standing over it, being right-footed in swinging ball. And anyone that's interested, the other fixture in the Premier League this evening, Fulham versus Aston Villa, has got underway, which is also available on our independent off-tube studio-based commentary service. So and it's still 0-0 as Martinelli delivers the ball in towards the penalty area. It's a good one. Wasn't quite met by an Arsenal head. Then PSV will now look to counter. Madueke will get away there from Tierney, and then there's a second challenge coming in from Odegaard, so potential for a double yellow card here as both players were brought to ground, and he's going to book both players, so Odegaard and Kieran Tierney both go into the referee's book for two very cynical tactical challenges that needed to really happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure either of those players will be disappointed with the fact they've got a yellow card, and I'm not sure Mikel Arteta will be disappointed with the fact they've got a yellow card. It's a really dangerous break from Madueke. He's done really well, and then even when Tierney takes him out, the ball lands at Xavi Simons, so Odegaard's forced to have to make another challenge to bring them down, and it's just one of those challenges. It's reminiscent of the way that Pep Guardiola likes to stop play at the source and not allow teams to get on his side. Mikel Arteta's he restricted his side to do the same.
Yeah, ball comes into the penalty area. It's a good delivery towards the back post. It's going to be back towards the far post once again, and PSV not making anything count here as they had a good opportunity there. The ball was fled out towards Obispo, but if there's one man you want at the byline putting a ball back into the area for danger, it's not going to be a centre-back.
No, certainly not. You're going to want him in the middle trying to get his head on it from those efforts, and it's a poor ball in the end as it just looped over the top, and Martinelli did really well to just watch it out, and Arsenal will feel as the clock ticks towards the 90-minute mark that they might just well have this game wrapped up. There's just over a minute left to play, and they just need to look after the ball a bit better to see this game off.
Yeah, they're flying bodies forward here now, Arsenal, in order to put this game to bed. PSV been caught out with a lot of attackers forward. The ball's in towards Eddie Nketiah, who has the shot. It's blocked there. There was a ball into Reiss Nelson. I'm not sure whether he saw it or not, but Arsenal had a really good opportunity to put the nail in this Dutch coffin. As Reiss Nelson back in possession, goes back towards Ben White, and now he's just about to halfway, and they're happy to reset and slow things down now. Just run the clock down, get closer and closer to that final whistle. It is with Rob Holding, tries a ball over towards Reiss Nelson, takes it down with a nice first touch there. Nelson, who's only just come onto the field, and he's just going to slowly edge backwards. Doesn't want to relieve possession there and allow any chance of a PSV counter. Holding back in towards Nelson. Goes out to Ben White now. Ben White with his head up, looking for a forward ball. Might be forced into going backwards, and goes backwards he does. It's helped up towards Kieran Tierney as 10 seconds away from the end of the mandatory 90 minutes, and just waiting to see how much added time we'll have. As a back pass from Gabriel there to Matt Turner was a really poor one. Turner did well to keep it in, and we're going to see 4 additional minutes of added time now, so still time for PSV to get back in the game.
Yeah, it certainly is time for PSV to get back into the game. And you and I were commentating on a game yesterday, and as it came to 90 minutes, there was 4 minutes added on, and we said, I'm not sure where those 4 minutes have come from, and I'm sat here wondering where these 4 minutes have come from as well. I don't really see where there's been 4 minutes of stoppages in this second half, but 4 minutes it is nonetheless, and Xavi Simons will make way for PSV as they try and see this game out. Ledesma, sorry, is coming on for him as PSV try and get something from it, but Ledesma on, Xavi Simons off.
Richard Ledesma coming on to try and make an impact late on. Xavi Simons, for the most part, had a decent game, I'd say. However, struggled moving forward. I mean, they all did. You can't really shine in a side where you've been starved of opportunities, as Arsenal will have a pretty comfortable free kick inside their own half for a handball off a PSV player. So Matt Turner will instruct his team to get forward before sending the ball deep inside the PSV half, in which he does. Looking for Eddie Nketiah. It's cleared away there by Wene. Luke de Jong battling in the air with Thomas Partey, but Xhaka will come out and head it towards Odegaard. Odegaard in towards Martinelli, who now skip away from any sort of PSV pressure. He plays a 1-2 there with Tierney though, and I think Martinelli will look to just run the clock down here as he gets towards the byline, takes on Jordan Teze. He does really well there, and I think he bounces the ball off Teze there. I think he did in the end, but it did come off Gabriel Martinelli just before it went out of play, so PSV have a chance to throw bodies forward now.
Yeah, they do. Just over 2 minutes on the clock remaining in that 4 minutes of added time, and you maybe think that Gabriel Martinelli could have taken that towards the corner flag and just tried to see this game out. He tried to get to the byline and run around his defender, but Teze did well to get his body in the way and force Martinelli out of play, but the long ball forward from PSV doesn't really do much, and Ben White will just restart things from an Arsenal try.
Throw in over on the far side, about halfway into the Arsenal half. Still about 2 minutes left for, well, either Arsenal to put the game to bed or PSV to mount a spirited comeback. As the throw-in, looking for Reece Nelson, picked up there by Gakpo, and then Ledesma will get it away from any Arsenal player, but the ball's just ping-ponging around halfway now, and neither side really able to take it down before Ledesma does try a switch over towards Madueke, and Matt Turner will come out to claim, and I'm sure do his best to waste some time here as he just waits for any sort of press from Luke de Jong before eventually scooping the ball up there, Matt Turner. So a bit of gamesmanship there just to run the clock down and try and see out. Bit of a nervy 1-0 win for Arsenal in a game where they've been completely dominant, but the chances just haven't come in the final third.
Yeah, definitely a stark difference to the 1-0 victory they had at Ellen Road, where they really felt that they didn't deserve all 3 points, if even a point really. They held on and just about managed to stay in the lead in that game. This game, you really feel that they could have had 2 or 3, but just on the one, they've had to just hold out for the last 10-15 minutes or so, but they've dealt with it well. They're beginning to be an experienced side under Mikel Arteta. They're obviously still young, but they've had experience of important games now and how to hold on to them. And it certainly look like with just about 20 seconds remaining on the clock, they'll see this one out to stay top of Group A.
Yeah, long ball forward. Over the top of the defence almost, putting Nketiah through on goal there, but the challenge did come. Referee will point, the linesman, sorry, will point to the corner flag, so it will be a chance for Arsenal to put the game to bed here. I mean, even if this doesn't go in, I'm sure it will be everything she wrote, as we've ticked over the 4th minute of added time. So maybe just a happy ending for the Arsenal fans if this does end up in the back of the net, because I'm sure they'll be going home with all 3 points. As PSV seemingly run out of time there, as Odegaard comes to stand over. He does go short into Nelson. I'm sure they'll run the clock down here as he goes back in towards Odegaard, and now Ben White back into Odegaard once again, and now Ben White again. They're just trying to run the clock down here. Arsenal waiting for the whistle to blow. The ball's cleared away by PSV only as far as Rob Holding, and it seems as though the referee has blown his whistle to end this game at the Emirates. A spirited performance from Mikel Arteta's side in a game that wasn't really going their way, but they got their goal and they're taking all 3 points to go top of their Europa League group. It was a smart, knowledgeable performance from this Arsenal side, who are growing in confidence in the league and the Champions League. The scoreline finishes Arsenal 1, PSV 0.